Good morning and welcome to SimWorld today, Monday. We are here. We have a new champion in the SWBA as the Oklahoma City Thunder survived what was a valiant comeback attempt by the Pacers, a game that we never really felt should be as close as it was after what transpired in the first quarter. Talk all of that, plus a little bit of trade that happened earlier in the day. Kevin Durant in Houston. We got Siege. Good morning, Siege. Man, this game was awesome for 7.5 minutes, and then it became just so disheartening. Your thoughts, your takeaway, take it in any direction as the Thunder take down the Pacers in Game 7.
Yeah, I mean it was an awesome game, like you said, for the first 7 minutes. It was almost an awesome game there again in the fourth quarter. Pacers really
Mm-hmm.
had me believing that maybe they were gonna come back, maybe we were gonna see something there. Unfortunately, no. But really, my biggest takeaways here: great job by the Thunder. Had an incredible regular season. Looked great in the playoffs. This is a young team that looks really good. I'll get to this in a minute, but I don't think anything should be taken away from them for how this last game played out. It obviously is. It's terrible to see. You hate to see what happened to Halliburton, especially with the season he's had, the clutch playoffs he's had, how good he's been.
Mm-hmm.
You just hate to see it go like that in Game 7 of the SWBA Finals.
Yeah, I mean, and the worst part of it is the injury, but like the secondary, like two or one B worst part of it was him yelling, no, no, no on the ground. I mean, like, just like that is heart wrenching to watch a guy that is, he said it before Game 6 where, I think it was Lisa Salters reporting, and it's like, he knew what the risk was and he wouldn't forgive himself if he didn't go out and play. And it is just so disappointing to see it. You feel for somebody in that moment who is in the middle of it. I mean, we need a full on investigation as to why all of these Achilles injuries keep occurring in the SWBA, but it's just so frustrating to watch that and see that. And it shouldn't. I think some people will take it away from the Thunder, who in the first half looked a little shell shocked, and then that second half their defense ramped up. They were fantastic. I think they scored 18 points off turnovers in the third quarter. So let's talk positive. The Thunder, this elite defense, culminating one of the hardest things to do: win an MVP and win a finals. And that's what Shea Gilgeous-Alexander accomplished. This defense in the second half from this team forced the Pacers that we have seen bits and pieces of back into existence. So many turnovers in that second half, and that's what flipped this game.
Absolutely, and it's not just the turnovers from the Pacers, but it was also the composure from the Thunder themselves. I mean, they had no turnovers almost all of the second half. I think they ended with maybe one or two, but like most of the second half, no turnovers. It was to me just a very it was a clear difference in the second half of these two teams, and the way
Mm-hmm.
I think you mentioned Thunder looked shell shocked coming into the game a little bit. I think the Pacers, as much as you don't want to admit it, I think they were partially shell shocked going out there in the second half
Yes.
without Tyrese Halliburton. I think that's a lot for a team to bear the weight on their shoulders. But overall, OKC is an absolutely deserving SWBA champion, and I'm excited to see someone put them on the map. OKC on the map finally with a championship. We can start having the debates about whether Shea's the best Thunder player of all time or not, which I think a lot of people will probably agree that he is at this point. But that's for another day.
I don't know how he's not. He actually finished the job that Kevin Durant
Yeah,
and Russell Westbrook could not. Um, here's my. I don't love that this is where my mind goes, but in a game like that, which was so dominant by the Thunder in the second half, to me, my takeaway has I wanted. It's really hard for people to talk about the good things, right? Not because we don't want to talk about them, but because it's kind of boring to just be like, this team was so awesome. And there's going to be a lot of debate about where does this team rank among the 68 plus win teams, right? They're in a very small group that includes, the Golden State Warriors, the Boston Celtics, the Lakers, the Bulls. Like it is a small group of teams that won 68 games and won a championship, and there's going to be a lot of comparisons to them. But unfortunately for everyone, I guess, to me, my takeaway, my biggest one was what the heck happened to Pascal Siakam in the second half? Um, for almost an entire quarter stretch, TJ McConnell was the only pacer to score points. And when Halliburton went down, my comment as I was watching this game was, then this is a chance for Siakam. This is a chance for Pascal Siakam to have an incredible performance, to change it the way that he is viewed, right? Because right now he's viewed as, a guy that won a championship when Kawhi Leonard was at the peak of his powers. And if he were to win this, he might have been finals MVP, had the Pacers pulled this win off. But he absolutely disappeared in the second half. I think early in the fourth quarter, he was 5 of 12. And you can't have 5 of 12. Those same comments we were having about Tyrese Halliburton, at least he was impacting the basketball game in other ways. He was dishing the ball, he was getting rebounds and pushing and moving the transition. Pascal Siakam for the third quarter siege, I didn't even feel like he was on the floor.
I mean, he just. I'm gonna be real. I'm gonna be real with you. To me, Pascal Siakam is the perfect number 2 player on a championship team.
Right. Yes.
And he very clearly tonight just assured me that that's also what he thinks of himself.
Sure.
It's like as soon as the pressure was on him to be that guy, he disappeared.
I don't want to do it.
when
Right.
when
I
the
don't want to
pressure
do
wasn't
this.
on him, we've seen him put up crazy games all playoffs and be so impactful. And I think he was very possibly on the way to a Finals MVP. But as soon as he was now the face of the team, now Tyrese isn't there. Like there's not him. There's not our leader on the floor. Siakam just like disappeared. He was like, I'm not a number one, and I'm not gonna be one.
Yeah, and I mean that is disappointing because you see, like that's the difference, right, between the Pacers and the Thunder. And ultimately, there's going to be so much of, well, Tyrese Halliburton got hurt, and that's going to be what hovers over this game, this series, this championship for Oklahoma City. But the difference between these two teams is that Jalen Williams, I could, if I'm another GM in the SWBA, I'm looking around and saying, what happens if maybe we can try to get him to come over here, because he is a guy that is the current number 2. But I will, he showed out push the Thunder along to that level. He just gets it. He allowed them to be overcoming and said, well, maybe if TJ McConnell wants to have a spurt. I mean, and that's like, imagine what the Pacers could have done with that TJ McConnell burst, which kept them alive in this game until the Thunder really rolled out in the fourth quarter and put this thing on ice. If Pascal Siakam was just a touch more aggressive and got rolling like he did in the first half, this is a game. And I mean, Andrew Nemhard got shut down in the second half. I thought that was more of the defense. Pascal Siakam felt like he got shut down because he shut himself down. And it's a shame that's the takeaway, because I really thought Siege, he has a big game and wins this championship, especially with the Halliburton story. I think people start looking at Pascal Siakam saying, hold on, like this is a totally different guy than what we thought he was coming into this series.
It was gonna affect his legacy one way or another, and I think it's gonna go one way.
It's solidified it.
Yep.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the big news that happened earlier on Sunday. And that is Kevin Durant on the move to the Houston Rockets. I tweeted it out. I thought this was a foregone conclusion. It was only a matter of time. It was inevitable, but it's finally done. I think, was I talking to you about this, or maybe it was Rico? I apologize. I confuse a lot of my conversations these days. That's not a great sign for me. Um, was talking about, Houston made sense. Jalen Green's your contract. You get a first round pick now. Interestingly, only one first round pick siege out of this deal. They get the number 10 overall pick, and that's it. Everything else is seconds. So your takeaways: Kevin Durant is now a Houston Rocket.
Well, my takeaway is it's an A plus. It's an A plus for the Houston Rockets in my book. I don't think it's that
Yeah.
bad for the Suns. I'd probably give it a B minus, maybe even a C plus. I would go down to. But the Rockets, if I'm a Rockets fan or I am part of the Rockets organization, I gave up exactly what I was looking to give up to get KD and no more. Um, and I think it's perfect. They were able to keep. And I know he was never even part of conversations. Let's be real, but Amen Thompson's still there. Sengun still there.
Yep.
KD's now there. That
Yep.
right there is your foundation. And then you got guys like Tari Eason. You were able to keep Cam Whitmore. You were able to keep Jabari Smith Jr., who
You kept everything.
they kept everything except for Jalen Green, which is great. And to me, you get Dylan Brooks out of there. I'm not a Dylan Brooks fan. Send him away. The number 10 pick, sure,
Yep.
whatever. But to be honest, roster is too flushed with versatile athletes who are young and have a lot of developing to do. We don't really need that 10th pick. We're good. Instead, let's go get a guy who's done it, who's been there, one of the best scorers of all time. A guy who also I think is going to be huge for the development of Jabari Smith Jr., which I'm excited to see how he develops playing with Kevin Durant, and maybe training with him, whatever it may be. But Houston Rockets absolute A+ with this one, and I wouldn't be surprised to see them as a Western Conference Finals team, or maybe an SWBA Finals contender next year.
So I mean, on the Jalen Green point, I can go quick and finish my thought on that. That deal was signed to be traded, right? And honestly, I think it's a contract that we might see the Golden State Warriors engage with Jonathan Kuminga on. Not to divulge the conversation, as I always find a way to do to the Warriors, but a 3-year deal, player option on the end of it, $30 million as the contract or as the salary cap goes up. It's a deal that makes it's not as backbreaking as $40 million is for a guy that can't live up to that. Like it's a really good deal. It was made to be traded for the Houston Rockets. What this kind of feels like, though, to me is why did we wait? Because I know that, this front office, what Raphael Stone is like, we want to see what this team looks like in the postseason before we make any big deals. Except that every single moment, Siege, of the regular season, everybody knew this Houston Rockets team is really good, but you know what they're missing? They're missing a number one scorer. Why don't you take some of your pieces and go get yourself a number one scorer? And lo and behold, here we are. Except now, when Kevin Durant comes out there, he's going to be what, 37, turning 38. He's 1 year older. He might still be as good, but this just feels like, why did we do this? And sure, the price tag at the midseason point probably would have maybe been a little bit different. But why are we waiting until right now to make this deal if you're Houston when you would have beaten Golden State with Kevin Durant. You could have beaten Minnesota with Kevin Durant, and then you're in the finals and maybe like I literally think there's a very real case to be made that the Houston Rockets were playing in the conference finals this season if they had made this deal during the regular season and not waited to quote unquote see what this team has as it was currently constructed.
Yeah, I can get around that ideology. I think though, I don't know if this was what they were looking for. They said what they were looking for to see the team in the postseason. But to me, you got some good things out of it. I don't think Amen Thompson kind of breaks out the way that we saw him break out offensively, anyways.
That's fair.
This
That's
season,
fair.
if you had added Kevin Durant, so I think while the idea of wanting to see how they perform, a team of guys who have never been in the postseason other than Fred VanVleet, how you want to see how they perform in the postseason, I don't think that's worth waiting for. And to be honest, they probably would have been better off making the trade. But I think you look at it as you got a breakout from Amen Thompson. You were able to really survey what you wanted, what you needed. And I think their window, they were already in their window. This doesn't really shorten the window to me, because they kept a lot of
No.
the young assets that they need for this longer term window of having a younger team. But the next 2 3 years, the window is a lot wider. These next
Yeah.
2 years, 3 years, whatever it may be, that KD's got left in the tank, that window is wide, and to me, like they are contenders. So yeah, maybe waited, but end of the day, I think they got something good out of it in the breakout from the guy Amen. So
They did. They get that. The pressure now is on Kevin Durant, his fourth team in 6 seasons. Will he be happy with this one? It seems like this is probably the one he ends on. Have to imagine he's getting a contract extension as soon as he's able to sign one in Houston. And now he is the sole number one. There's no James Harden, Kyrie Irving, Devin Booker, Steph Curry. It is Kevin Durant. That is where the ball is going to start. That's where the ball is going to end, and the pressure is now on him to try to chase down. And the Houston Rockets, the team that could not beat the Golden State Warriors, now they have Kevin Durant trying to get things done and get a championship for Houston for the first time since the 90s. All right, Siege, I appreciate you taking the time here. The Oklahoma City Thunder are our world champions, if the rest of the world wants to admit it or not. OKC reigns supreme of the basketball universe. Houston has their eyes set on making that up and changing things out. Appreciate you taking the time, Siege. We'll talk to you again next Monday. Appreciate you all tuning in here on SimWorld TV, the only place you can see the game, be the game.